back-to-back L's for Leeds. One against Man City, but one against Sunderland. That's really going to smart for Leeds, isn't it? If they ultimately drop, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on that particular game, that particular moment, because it was ugly as well, wasn't it? Sunderland very much, quote, did a job on Leeds, created precious little, but Leeds did get caught in the trap, in the words of Elvis Presley, and succumbed to... We've seen Sunderland did it in the playoffs to get up. They were able to sit in and strike, and they had the knockout blow. And Leeds, I guess even more worryingly, only 1 goal scored in 3 games. It's 1 win in 7 in the Premier League. So Leeds have very much improved, haven't they? That much documented Man City turning point, halfway, go a bit more direct, change the shape, blah, blah, blah. Said all that last time, but they cannot let it slip now. And there's obviously been a fair amount of draws into the bargain. And you know what happens if a draw-heavy team, a few of the draws turn to defeats, then you are now saying, oh, instead of, well, they only lost that Newcastle game in that big run and they shouldn't have lost that. Now you're saying 1 win in 7 and potentially could be overtaken tonight by Spurs. That takes us up to 15th place. Again, I've said I'm not going to talk about Palace. Maybe we will do on the next one of these videos. What I do want to talk about is head-to-head games. March the 22nd, Spurs versus Forest. April the 10th, West Ham versus Wolves. April the 18th, there's 2. Leeds versus Wolves and Forest versus Burnley. April the 24th, Wolves versus Spurs. And then into May, there's still 4 of them. May the 2nd, Leeds versus Burnley. May the 9th, my God, Tottenham versus Leeds. And then on the final day of the season is Burnley versus, I cannot read my writing. It's West Ham versus Leeds. Who are Burnley playing on the last day of the season? Sorry, that's very embarrassing. Burnley versus Wolves. W-O-L, that horrible little squiggle's supposed to say. Anyway, let's not bury the lead. West Ham versus Leeds on the last day of the season. So, before we get to conclusions, the first thing I'll say is you can very much see it going down to the last day. For it not to go down to the last day requires one of the teams on 28 points now to collapse, doesn't it? And for everything else to lift up slightly, and there's a game's gap, 3 points or goal difference, looking at Spurs and West Ham, particularly his goal numbers there. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think West Ham or Forest are going to collapse. Upsetting for me as an EFL enthusiast to say, Leeds are probably the most likely team to have a run where it's like 1 win in 7. They've literally just done that, haven't they? But I suppose you could argue back, Spurs have had no wins in 10. But Spurs of all of those teams are the one where, like West Ham did, was it in January? They won 3 in 4. Maybe it was early February. I can't remember exact timelines there. But just bang, bang, bang. And some points went on the board very, very quickly, didn't they? So it could well go down to final day, or definitely, I suspect we'll have 2 teams relegated, probably 3 games out. I mean, it'll be 3 games out looking at it right now, won't it? And then surely it goes to the final day, definitely round 37, if not. I think I've banged my colours to the mast that Wolves and Burnley are definitely going to go. And shall we be as bold to say that Wolves are not going to finish bottom? Go on, let's do it. We thought for the longest time Burnley would be 19th. Maybe they're going to finish bottom. But my God, sort out the rest of that. West Ham, Forest, Spurs, Leeds. We're not including Palace right now. I've got to say a name, haven't I? What is most likely? It all depends on Spurs, doesn't it? I think you're going to get some level of consistency from West Ham and Forest. Spurs could do anything. Spurs could finish with 34 points or they could finish with 44 points. I can see either. Leeds, I think, are going to work their way towards at least 38 points. Only 2 more wins takes them to 37, doesn't it? So hard doing this before Spurs play tonight against Palace. Honestly, if it's down to chaos and owners, it's Spurs, isn't it? But I cannot sit here and predict it will be Spurs. So I may just go with the incumbent in West Ham, but that would mean that Leeds will have to go to West Ham on the final day probably and not lose, which could be the tensest game of football in relegation history. I don't know. I'm flipping a coin on Spurs and West Ham at the moment. What are you doing? I'm avoiding the question, aren't I? Sorry to you guys in the comments. I've successfully filibustered my way out of that. It's too difficult to call at the moment, isn't it? You let me know. Are you going to get off the fence? Go on. I'll say West Ham right now because I've got to give a name. But as you can see, I'm all over the place with this. I should have made a decision before I came on rather than thinking about it as I went. Let me know your 3 down there in the comments.